And welcome into the Wednesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. That sound you hear early this morning, Joe, is all the bread and milk being snatched up as we speak from grocery stores everywhere around here.
Yeah. Death Storm 26 on the way, everybody. Get your supplies.
I'm seeing a lot of interesting models and differing reports of the amount of precipitation we may be getting this weekend.
Yeah, and I generally agree with the idea that, it'll probably be not as bad. It usually seems like it turns out that way, but yeah, there's like some meteorologist from Florida that I saw like on my feed. I don't know why he was talking about maybe he's like a national weather. I don't know, but it said like Florida something or other, but he was talking like 18 to 24 or something like that, or maybe it was 12 to 18. Maybe it was 12 to 18.
I've seen everywhere from I could get about 4 or 5 inches. Some of it could be ice to you may be under 2 feet of snow. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, which is like,
it looks like it's going to be at least something significant.
Yeah, generally for driving purposes, you want it to be snow, right?
Maybe not 2 feet.
But if it's that much snow, then no. Obviously, the mix is really bad for driving. But either way, let's all be prepared. It's coming. Something big is coming here.
Have we ever been able to nail down, Ian, why the bread and the milk are the first two things that everybody apparently just has to snatch up? I mean, eggs can get tossed in there too.
I was thinking about that. I mostly would think so, because if you're stuck inside for a few days, you need to make some food, right? A lot of recipes, baking things call for milk in particular, butter, flour, that kind of stuff. For indoor purposes for a few days, you might need to hunker down, make some, make something to make it last.
I mean, bread, milk, and eggs, that to me is like, okay, so everybody's just making French toast.
It's not a bad idea.
As long as you have those things in Crisco, you can go wild.
Yeah. Make sure you have enough sandwich supplies with the bread.
Yeah. The milk. Yeah,
it does.
You're right,
does go.
If you want to make some mac and cheese or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of recipes call for milk. Cup of milk here. 2 cups there.
If you need some, I'd get it today.
I say just
I was gonna
load
say
up on bacon, man.
I did not
get the good stuff.
Make it a store run, so I don't have eyes on the ground report yet.
Okay.
On how it's looking. I was thinking about swinging by today, but we'll see.
It'll probably. I mean, I've gone to the store. I think I went yesterday. It's normal, but I'm sure by like tomorrow it'll be
a disaster.
Today'd probably be a good day to go.
Yep. I'm the Predators are supposed to play a hockey game on Saturday at 2:30. I'm interested to see how that goes. Yossi's playing in his 1,000th NHL game tomorrow, which tomorrow should be fine. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any issues tomorrow, but I believe, one would naturally assume the 1,000th game is tomorrow, which would mean the ceremony for the 1,000th game is probably on Saturday, and could be interesting in downtown on Saturday.
So it's at least. So 2:30 gives it a chance,
I guess. I have no idea when all this is supposed to come trickling in here.
I thought it was supposed to be during the day, night, and into Sunday morning.
Okay.
So, we'll see. I mean, maybe I guess they could they? That's the thing. With broadcast, right? Could you move it up? Could you move it up to like noon?
I don't know.
I mean, in theory.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to play at 9:00 in the morning. Breakfast hockey.
Why
which
not?
I'd be cool with. That's fine with me.
Exactly. I mean, they do that sometimes, on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You get the early game. So, so everybody get ready.
Everybody get ready.
Apparently, I saw this other thing. It was like the record is like 1871 or something.
Okay.
I forget how much it was, but this has a chance maybe to set the record.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that front. We got a lot going on the show today. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us in the second half of the program. We will get deep into the Robert Salah hire with him. We will get into how this whole thing came about. What could the staff possibly look like? What did Amy Adams-Strunk's involvement look like in all this? We'll get into all that with PK throughout the show today. So looking forward to that later in the program. We've got some NFL news that made the rounds yesterday to get into a little bit later as well, so looking forward to that. Preds did play last night. It did not go very well for them at all in the first period, and then they started to play much better after that, but it was too little too late, and we will get into that a little bit later in the show as well. But, Joe, we begin with what seemingly, a day after we talked about the hiring of Robert Salah and made the point many times yesterday that I think who he hires as offensive coordinator is going to be very important here as to the success or failure of how this whole thing goes with Robert Salah. And I think for most Titans fans that we've heard from anyway, the idea of Mike McDaniel joining Robert Salah's staff as offensive coordinator is pretty appealing. And I think that was probably the combination that in the aftermath of the Salah hiring, and even before we heard this a lot, that a lot of people wanted. Well, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Mike McDaniel is expected to become the offensive coordinator of the LA Chargers. Now, I guess to this point, there is not an actual deal that has been made because technically there are some head coaching spots out there that I guess are still available, but he did have a head coaching interview scheduled with the Browns that he turned down and that he basically removed himself from contention. And the reporting is from Jeff Darlington and a bunch of others that it just looks like he's going to end up as the offensive coordinator of the LA Chargers. So you got one Harbaugh going to New York and screwing over the Titans. You got another Harbaugh out there in LA screwing over the Titans, hiring what we just naturally assumed would be a pretty natural offensive coordinator candidate. What do you make of Mike McDaniel reportedly joining the LA Chargers as their new offensive coordinator?
I'm trying to imagine the interview, first of all. Boy,
those two together.
Jim Harbaugh and
crap.
McDaniel.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I think that fit pretty well, actually.
I mean, I guess.
Couple of odd pods there.
Yeah. It's I get the move for him. I mean, Herbert is. I mean, I'm kind of drifting into your neighborhood of like, I don't know, man. Herbert has the ability, but boy, does he keep screwing stuff up. But it's still like, hey, Harbaugh and Vrabel both wanted that job badly because of the quarterback, right? And McDaniel gets to go back out to California and coach Justin Herbert. It's not a bad spot for him if they fix their offensive line. It should be a pretty, they got a chance for him to have a nice bump as the OC and then get back into the head coaching cycle. Again, I think Detroit would have been great for him in terms of getting himself, helping himself get right back to head coach. But yeah, that's a tough one for the Titans. I guess, if I was choosing between again, it's just it's the Harbaugh thing in all seriousness. Harbaugh's your boss. If that sounds okay, then some people seem to like it. Connor Stallions,
he loved it.
Really enjoyed working in the Harbaugh organization.
Very loyal
and cheating for him. But so now you got Dayball you can talk about out there. The guy that you hated that they interviewed for head coach, maybe Cliff Kingsbury. What would you think about Cliff Kingsbury?
I mean, at this point, I'd certainly say you got to put him on the list, don't you?
Yeah, of possibilities for sure. Who else? Like you said, you mentioned those guys yesterday.
Well, Adam Stanovich, offensive coordinator for the Packers. He's not called plays, but there's clearly familiarity there between him and Salah. You've got Clay Kubiak, not Clint Kubiak, but Clay Kubiak, who is the offensive coordinator in San Francisco, but he's not calling plays in San Francisco. So is there any sort of interest on that front? And if you're Titans fans, if they hired one of those two or anybody else who has not called plays to this point to be the offensive coordinator, how concerning would that be if you're a Titans fan?
Yeah, well, it's you hope that I don't know what the exact hit rate is, but it seems like it's pretty decent with those guys who are under those two. Then they get a chance to call plays, and usually it seems like it goes pretty well. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It could be a great thing. It's like some of this stuff is like you just don't know for sure until someone gets in those moments and you see if they really have a feel for it or not. But they are groomed to be ready to call plays somewhere at some point. So it would make sense. But yeah, like the Dayball thing is he actually going to get the Buffalo head coaching job? It blows me away if that's true. But if not, it's interesting. He's kind of volatile. I think Kingsbury is a pretty good OC. You know, I don't think that would be bad at all if that's where the Titans landed. And obviously they have, the intel having interviewed him.
Has your view of the Salah hire changed at all now that we know that it's not going to be McDaniel as the offensive coordinator?
Well, it's not as good because that was, to me, the peak pairing. So that would have been the real, which again, it makes me think back to Callahan. It's like, I mean, if this means Bill Callahan, holy cow, what a hire. Do you remember, by the way, do you remember a lot of people being mad about the Brian Callahan hire when it happened?
Being mad about it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I remember the fan base celebrating it pretty not unanimously, but pretty much across the board, celebrated across the NFL. I think.
Yeah, it was like stepping into the modern NFL was what it was supposed to be.
Big Joe was trying to say on Twitter yesterday that people were mad about it.
Oh, okay.
So he may have been, which is good for him if that's the case. But yeah, that was pretty celebrated, and that part of it was especially celebrated, and that would have been the same thing with Mike McDaniel coming with Robert Salah. So yeah, it's like I guess it's like, what would be more exciting for Titans fans? Someone like a Kingsbury where you've seen some success, but you've also he's been blamed. He just got fired. He's been fired as a head coach. Daboll, he's sort of like, well, the Josh Allen thing, but then also there's some stuff with him that is a little sketchy. Like, are you more excited about somebody like that or the unknown who comes from that Shanahan LaFleur tree, who might be the next big thing?
Have to keep an eye on the injury tent around here if Daboll comes around as offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Just open that thing up.
Keep Brian out of the tent. Make sure Brian goes nowhere near the tent.
Hey, Cam, if you need any answers for that concussion test, let me know. I got you.
615-737-1025, our phone number. I mean, one quick point on the Daboll part of this. I mean, he was the head coach of the New York Giants, and the reporting is the Giants tried pretty aggressively to get up there and get Cam Ward. So I would assume that Daboll probably likes Cam Ward.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. Keep that in mind. Mike McDaniel looks like he's going to become the offensive coordinator for the LA Chargers. We'll take your reaction to that. 615-737-1025. Plus, Albert Breer has gone behind the scenes and taken a look at how the Robert Salah hiring came to be. We will get into that coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
So let's recap what was a big Monday. And it ended late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, right in there, depending on where you were at, with the Titans hiring Robert Salah, the former Jets coach, the current Niners defensive coordinator. It was an interesting day for the Titans. They came into the day with 3-second interviews planned for a 36-hour stretch. They were going to have Matt Nagy in at midday, Robert Salah in later in the day, and then planned to have Jeff Hafley in, knowing they might lose him, and we'll get to that in a minute, on Tuesday. And as the day progressed, things started to clarify a little bit. I think this is as much about what the Titans were looking for in their next coach as much as anything else. Titans ownership, Titans fans, and the new Titans front office really set out to find somebody that could fill the void that was left by Mike Vrabel when he was fired a couple of years ago. They wanted somebody who could bring energy, somebody who could bring presence, somebody who could build a culture. And I think that's how Robert Salah winds up winning this job over Matt Nagy, with Jeff Hafley not having come in. All three of those guys, I think, give you something in that area. But that's an area where Robert Salah is an A+.
That was Albert Breer discussing the hiring of Robert Salah as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Joe, he also came out with a piece on SI.com in written form, kind of describing what all went on here behind the scenes. And a couple of things that he talked about here that I found particularly interesting. Number one, I'm sure other people probably get excited about this, but to me, I was like, oh, so they basically just interviewed Matt LaFleur and was like, tell me all your nice things about Robert Salah. He says they went down the conventional path of talking to those closest to Salah in the coaching industry. Packers coach Matt LaFleur, one of Salah's best friends and his boss for a couple of months at the end of the 2023 season, was particularly helpful. They also showed some creativity, dispatching veteran players like Jeffrey Simmons to ask other players about specific candidates. The 49ers and Jets players both spoke highly of Salah. And what he kind of gets to throughout this, without reading word for word everything that Albert Breer put out here, is, Matt Nagy was a serious candidate for the job, and it was Salah's responsibility to come in there and win the job. And that's what Salah, according to Breer, did. He got in front of Borgonzi. He got in front of Amy Adams-Strunk. He got in front of all the decision makers, of which there are many in the room, for the Tennessee Titans. And by the time they got through that entire process, they were clearly convinced enough that he was their guy and that that was the right decision for their team. So what do you make of kind of the behind-the-scenes look that Albert Breer put out at SI.com about how all this came to be?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you start talking about now I'm searching up my 2018 Matt LaFleur feature where I think he and Salah were like each other's best man at each other's wedding. Like, it's that cool. So like if you're going to ask Matt LaFleur about him, I mean, obviously, like, they've worked together, so that's like, but you got to know you're going to get the
best possible version.
Yeah, exactly, the best possible version. But
Matt, we'd really like to know your thoughts on Robert Salah. Also, if you get fired in Green Bay, would you like to come coach here at some point?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the breakdown here is again, like, we'll have PK in. Like, there's, because of the way things unfolded, like, there's always going to be this, like, okay, did Borgonzi really like him that much? But, like, again, like, there's all these different people who are in the room, including Amy, as this breaks down. Like, Amy is, especially during the QB part of it.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. There's the part where she took part and everything like that, which, again, like the owner of the team has a right to listen and whatever, say whatever, and ultimately, like, make whatever decision. So it's the one thing I would say is, like, it's hard for me to believe. First of all, people overstated, like, the Nagy dislike from the fan. It got very exaggerated, but it's hard for me to believe that Salah didn't really impress in general,
Sure.
right? And I would think he would. I mean, again, there's a lot of testimonials beyond his best friends out there. Like, there's a lot of player stuff in here. The 49ers and Jets players speaking highly of him, and just watch the guy talk. Not when he's threatening to, destroy the life of Liam Cohen, but
Probably helped in that decision.
Although that's kind of fun too. But yeah, I'm not surprised at all that he would come in here and hit a home run with the interview. So, I mean, it's it's one of those things where it's like, if it goes well, then Amy Adams Strunk will be like, yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind people talking about how I said, yes, we are hiring Salah. And if it doesn't go well, then she'll, just kind of not be around and and I hope people don't think of it that way. But regardless, I thought it was an interesting breakdown. It sounds about what you would expect. And, this is it, man. I mean, he's the coach.
Breer says they went through Salah's detailed plan for Cam Ward, in which Salah demonstrated a real command of what Ward would need, including staffing on the offensive side with experienced candidates and a second phase plan should a coordinator leave. Just as important was his approach to setting up the entire organization, his level of detail in areas such as sports science. He explained how he'd take care of the players while pushing them hard enough to create a callus and all those things. And, presence, leadership, those type of words that we've associated with this Titans coaching search for a while now come up in this as well. And clearly that was important to Amy Adams Strunk throughout all this.
Yeah, the sports science stuff is interesting. And it's also funny because, sorry, I'm bringing up Vrabel, but that exact term, callous, is something Vrabel used to say. And it didn't work, by the way, in the last few years under Vrabel. It was just injuries, But I have to think that that's a particular interest to Amy, because she was here for all that stuff of, what is going on? What can we do to? It's not like that's not been the issue as much in the last couple of years for the Titans, but obviously it was heavily the issue back then. So sorry I mentioned Vrabel. Texter who says that I went wild with my Vrabel worship yesterday. I didn't realize that.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, we did Albert Breer's the clip that we just played coming back was basically like, yeah, the Titans and Amy Adams Strunk were trying to basically get in there and clone Vrabel. It's basically what
I didn't say.
Brady. Somebody call Brady.
Yeah,
that's right.
Tom, we need your help.
Yeah, people bring up Vrabel.
They do.
Play for the Super Bowl this weekend, in case anybody didn't notice. Sorry to bring it up.
There is that. Oh, and by the way, I understand Robert Salah, big dude. Robert Salah, good leadership qualities to him. It's not like him and Vrabel are like the same person or the same coach.
Yeah. Well, I saw Dana Rossini tweeted something like that, and yeah, I would agree. They're not. I mean, nobody's quite like Vrabel. And by the way, I'm not saying like he's the most amazing person in the world. Like, he has his flaws.
No
okay.
one's ever been quite as good of a coach as Mike Vrabel is.
No one's as quite the same as the greatest coach of all time. Not quite. But yeah, no, they're very different. Yeah, they're different. Salah, it just seems to me on the sidelines, probably a little more animated kind of guy, right? A little more. But that is also, it's like, was he like that with the Jets as head coach? I don't know. I don't remember them ever doing anything good. So it's like he didn't have anything to cheer. But when he's with the Niners as D coordinator, he's always excited because
he was very animated.
Usually do well.
Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles because you could see like his soul leaving his body right in front of him. He's like, oh no.
Right.
4 plays in.
He just like vaporized.
Now Zach Wilson's back out there. We were really trying to avoid that.
But yeah, they're different. They're big. They're both big.
They are. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. More reaction to the hiring of Robert Salah, plus some words from paulkuharsky.com that I found to be pretty interesting that we will get into both now and with PK coming up a little bit later in the show. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
course, part of the deal here. He's going to have to find the right offensive coach, and he has connections. He's very close with Mike McDaniel. He'll have competition for McDaniel services. McDaniel is still in the Browns coaching search. He is going to set to have a second interview in Cleveland tomorrow with the Browns. He's in the running for the Buccaneers offensive coordinator job, if not the favorite for that job. And so there's competition for Mike McDaniel, but that would be one place Robert Saleh could potentially look for a offensive coordinator. They could bring in Arthur Smith, who's worked in that organization before. Matt Nagy could be a possibility. He's got the relationship with Mike Borgonzi. His contract is up in Kansas City. So there are some options out there for the Titans, and that'll be a big piece of this going forward. But if you are looking for just a quarterbacks guy, I think it's important to look at what they just came out of. And having hired that guy and Brian Callahan 2 years ago, obviously for a number of different reasons that didn't work out. And so while they do have a young quarterback in Cam Ward that they have to develop, that they have to create a great environment for, they felt like the more important thing was to find a program leader and somebody, again, who could energize the fan base, who could create a culture in the building, and maybe generate some excitement going into the next couple of years when they'll open a new stadium in 2027. So staffing is going to be really important for Robert Saleh, of course, as it is for any coach that doesn't have that offensive background and has a young quarterback on hand. But there are plenty of defensive coaches that have made it work for young quarterbacks and have developed young quarterbacks at a high level. In fact, Vrabel himself is a good example of it in New England this year with Drake May playing at an MVP level.
That was more from Albert Breer. We had a clip yesterday on that front. Now, since then, looks like Mike McDaniel has taken the LA Chargers job in terms of the offensive coordinator job. So I guess you can cross him off the list of potential offensive coordinator candidates for Robert Saleh. But the point being, obviously you're worried about developing your younger quarterback, but the Titans were not going to make their decision on who to hire as head coach based solely on, well, we got to have some offensive guy in here for Cam Ward to be the developer of him moving forward. We've seen Vrabel with Drake May. We have seen defensive coaches make good hires on the offensive side of the ball, and that has helped their quarterback moving forward here. So, now the question is, who is going to be that offensive guy for Robert Saleh here? Now, in the meantime, a lot of people asking yesterday about how exactly all this went down, and we'll get into this with PK a little bit later in the show as well, but he did put something out of paulkuharsky.com yesterday in the aftermath of Robert Saleh's hiring, talking about Amy Adams-Strunk. This is what PK said in his piece at paulkuharsky.com. Quote, late Monday night, ESPN was already pumping a pro Amy Adams-Strunk anti-Borgonzi narrative that the GM wanted Nagy and ownership moved him towards Salah. I know this not to be true. Unfortunately for Nagy, it leaves him as less of a victim, deserted by his friend. Instead, it means he was beaten out by a different personality of the sort the Titans need more. Remember, Chad Brinker had strong feelings for his Green Bay friend, John Eric Sullivan, when hiring a GM a year ago, feelings likely akin to what Borgonzi has for Nagy. Ultimately, the president of football operations made the tough call to Sullivan to tell him he had to go with Borgonzi, and now Borgonzi has done the same, passing over his friend for someone who looked like a better option. So, again, we'll get into that a little bit more with PK later in the show when he comes here, but what do you make of that, Joe Rexrode?
Well, first of all, I'm going to quibble with PK, which I actually already have, but I'll quibble with him here when he comes in. I'll quibble with him now. I wouldn't write I know anything to be true. I'd write source or sources said that's not true. That's unless just like Nick Suss said yesterday, I wasn't in the room. I don't think PK was either. I mean, maybe he was hiding behind a curtain. I mean, I guess I don't know for sure that he was. Be very, very quiet. But if you weren't in there, I'd just go ahead and say sources told me that's not true, because that's what happens in this stuff, right? People tell you one thing and then someone else tells you something else, and you just attribute it. But whatever, PK. I mean, I've offered my services to edit on his website.
Turned down.
He is not taking me up on that offer. But like first of all, however it all went about, he's right. Salah beat out Nagy. Like Salah won the day. Salah's interview put him over the top. And if you want, you could get into Amy heard the Twitter noise, and that's why she moved off Nagy. But again, why were all these people in town? Why were people feeling that way? I mean, to me, the only explanation of that, or the most likely explanation of that, is personality, isn't it? Presence, things like that. I mean, what else is there? Like, you're not going on coaching record, because Nagy's is better than Salah. So I just, so obviously Salah won the day there. Real quick on Nagy, by the way, some things in the YouTube chat, people are like, well, I've seen this a lot. He has said that he wants to be a head coach, and he has said he wouldn't call plays. He's also said he'd like to be a play calling OC. So that is, I think, on the table here. But if that's the case, someone asked if this was the plan all along for Salah. No, I don't. I think that would be an arranged marriage.
I would think so.
And it may get to that. But that's an interesting one, like, how does that work? And if Nagy wanted this job and everything, is that a good idea?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, at this point, I would assume that Nagy's probably not getting a head coaching job. I mean, I say that. Who's going to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns? Who's going to be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals? I have no idea, right? So maybe he does end up, teams circle back to him and he ends up getting a job this cycle. But my guess is he's probably not, right? Like, he's probably not going to be a head coach. So if he's not going to be the head coach, he's going to have to be an offensive coordinator, I guess, somewhere, because it ain't going to be in Kansas City now. So I would assume that if the call came, that Nagy would be willing to put all that stuff aside and just go do the job. If you're Salah, do you want that? I have no idea. And I would assume, given Salah's background, that there are several candidates that he would probably prefer ahead of Nagy. And if it got to the point where it was Nagy, you would have to wonder how much of that is Salah, how much of that is like Borgonzi or somebody else.
Well, if it's real fast here, then I'll buy the Borgonzi. Like Jared's asking, is Borgonzi going to force feed Nagy to Salah? I mean, first of all, again, it's just like the caller yesterday about Borgonzi, and if Amy overrules him on something or whatever, like, how do you feel about that with your job? And ultimately, it's like, well, you're going to do your job and listen to your boss. But like, if you're Salah and you just took this job, and they're like, yeah, and by the way, you are going to have Matt Nagy as your OC. Yeah, I don't think I don't think they would do that, and I don't think anybody would feel good about that. Now, Vrabel tried different people 7 years ago, didn't work out. John Robinson said, got Matt LaFleur here. What do you think? Whatever. Or I'm sure it was, what do you think? Not, hey, Vrabes, here's your OC. Shut up and go back to your office. Like, I'm
cannot let this super genius get out of the building.
Yeah. So I think if it gets to Nagy, I would think that it would be a bit before it got to that, and which would tell you, and along the way, we'll have reporting on different people they're interviewing.
Sure.
Then at some point, I mean, even if you're solid, at some point, it's like, well, it's not working out. So I guess the interesting thing is, if it gets to some of the guys you mentioned who've never called plays, which isn't a crazy thing in the NFL, guys, and that's what happens a lot. I know some people have a thing about that, but it's like, I mean, that's what happens. At some point, you get a first chance to call plays. It's as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But if it gets to the guys who have never called plays before, who are in his sort of tree, or like a Nagy who obviously has a lot of experience, does that get in a discussion back and forth of which is better? I mean, I think I would let Robert Salah pick his staff.
I would too. And look, if it's somebody who hasn't called plays before, I mean, is it totally ideal? Probably not. But, Sean McVay didn't call plays at one point, and then he did. And Matt LaFleur didn't call plays at one point, and then he did. Clint Kubiak in Seattle didn't call plays at one point, and then he did. And turns out they're pretty good at it, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of head coach hires who get hired having not called plays, as we just saw here, and then they call plays. I mean, This is an OC hire. I mean, that's when you start to call play. I understand some of them are non-play calling OCs, but that's the thing. I mean, like, more than not, you're hiring someone who's calling plays for the first time.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dayball obviously has called plays. So if he ends up being the guy, you know that there is experience there on that front. I mean, Nagy has called plays. We'll see what that looks like. But Nagy has called plays before, so that would be another option. But there are going to be people in Salah's immediate coaching tree that have not called plays before that are intriguing names. Like, I don't know. Like, Clint Kubiak seems to be doing a pretty good job. Is Clay Kubiak not capable of calling plays? I have no idea. Right? I mean,
Sometimes one brother's really, the Harbaugh brothers are different.
yeah,
They're both good.
I mean, and sometimes it just doesn't work, right? Like Nathaniel Hackett was an offensive coordinator under Matt LaFleur for a while before he got the head coaching job, and he started to call plays and didn't go very well, right? Now, Adam Stenavich has been the offensive coordinator in Green Bay the last few years. He has not been the play caller, but what if he's really good? I have no idea. Like I guess with these guys, you don't really know until you know. And just because your last head coaching hire had never called plays before, and then he became the head coach and called plays, and it was a disaster, doesn't necessarily mean that you're doomed to that the next time around.
Right, and I would still argue that his play calling was nowhere near the top of the list of issues. It wasn't anything great, but again, it's also sometimes hard to even know based on how bad the team was. But obviously his issues, and apparently Jeff Simmons said some of these things with the Bussin' boys over there about his lack of CEO competence. So that's what it was, right? The play calling wasn't. It just wasn't the big deal. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to find out, right? I mean, Vrabel found out Arthur Smith was really good at calling plays. Also, Arthur Smith would be like, thanks for telling me I'm good at calling plays. And I had the best offensive line in the league, or one of it. I had Derrick Henry and I had AJ Brown, and all of a sudden I looked really smart.
By the way, I mean that's another candidate.
That is. I don't think that's a terrible idea.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We will continue to take your thoughts on the hiring of Robert Salah, plus something in the NFL that an owner that's very out there made visible yesterday that I think we're going to be on the doorstep of, that I'm not sure that Rexrode's going to love. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Preds fans, Smashville Live is back tonight at 6 o'clock on 102.5 The Game, live from Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue. Meet your Preds players up close and personal. Tonight's player guests will be Cole Smith and Michael McCarron. That's tonight at Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue and only on 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. One texter asking earlier, like the big question is, will Robert Salah make fun of Joe's hands in his introductory press conference? I don't know. That's what the last guy did.
I won't be there, but I don't know. I'll wave my hands. I'll Zoom with Kuharsky and just have my hands on the Zoom.
Could be.
Turn the screen around.
Could be the way to go there. Could be the way to go there.
By the way, Salah, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. There's not going to be a presser this week, and then it's interesting because then you get into next week and the entire city gets shut down by Death Storm 26.
Yeah.
So Robert Salah will be having his first media thing at the combine.
Robert, welcome to town. Nothing here is functional for the next 2 weeks because we're all covered in snow and ice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Robert Salah, a fellow Michigander, be like, you guys don't have trucks, plows?
That is correct.
We do, though. We do. We're ready, right? We're ready.
We'll
see how we
We're
do.
ready.
We'll
We're
see
ready.
how we do.
We're ready as we can be.
They're ready. I don't know if the people are ready.
Yeah.
See how
Don't
it
drive.
goes.
Just don't drive.
A lot of people throwing out suggestions for offensive coordinator candidates. We've heard Art Smith, his name thrown out there. Bobby Slowick, who we discussed yesterday. We did have somebody say Byron Leftwich, which has not entered my brain to this point in terms of candidates that are out there, but he has been an offensive coordinator before.
He hasn't been in the NFL in a while. I guess he took some time off in general from coaching, but he's with I didn't realize that he's with Deion Sanders in Colorado this year.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I think someone who's been in the NFL for a few years like that, I don't think that's typically a good idea. How about John Gruden? We haven't talked about John Gruden for anything.
Well, offensive coordinator.
He keeps not getting any jobs at all. It's interesting, but he does get a lot of swag.
He does. He's got a lot of clothes. Joe, some NFL news to keep an eye on that made the rounds yesterday. This Robert Kraft was on a radio interview, 98.5 The Sports Hub from Gillette Stadium yesterday, and he was talking about a bunch of different things. Obviously, the AFC title game coming up this weekend with them traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. Jarrett Stidham standing in the way between the Patriots and another appearance in the Super Bowl. But he talked about kind of where the league could be heading here, and maybe gave us a peek behind the curtain of some agenda items that are going to be tried to be accomplished by the owners here pretty quickly. This is what he said. This is from Robert Kraft. Quote, I want to tell you guys that we're going to push like the Dickens now to make international games more important to us. Every team will go to 18-2. So talking about 18 regular season games, 2 preseason games, and eliminate one of the preseason games. Every team every year will play 1 game overseas. And he went on to explain, part of that so you can continue to grow the cap and the coverage and how popular the NFL is now. So trying to continue to build on that. But what do you make of that? I mean, the 18 game part of it, it's like, okay, we kind of all figured we're getting there at some point. And look, I mean, as Mike Florio points out in his article, at one time it was 14 games and 6 preseason games, which is just hilarious to think about that they played 6 preseason football games.
Preseason game.
But that adds up to 20, forever. In my lifetime growing up, it was 16 regular season games and 4 preseason games. Now we're at 17 regular season games, 3 preseason games. So we've always played 20 football games. And now they're just going to justify it by doing 18 regular season games and 2 preseason games. So, Joe, the 18 regular season game part of this is less newsworthy to me. It's like, yeah, I think we all kind of figure we're getting there at some point. I don't know that I love, let's make every team once a year just play internationally overseas all the time. Do we really need to do that?
Yeah, well, obviously, it's been going that way too. The 18 thing. I mean, the funny thing about this is, and look, again, with all this stuff, that there's a union, and so ultimately, the players typically take the financial incentive to do things like this, but it is kind of amazing that when we talk about player safety, because there's just no comparison. If you think there's any, you got starters who a lot of them don't play at all in a preseason game, where they might play a series or 2. You swap that out for another full-on knockdown, drag-out football game, and you have 18 of those in a year in this era of, man, player safety really matters. Brian Daboll, get out of the tent. So that's obviously it's disingenuous and all that. But again, players also vote for this, and so they're going to have to vote, right? Like this is going to have to be approved by the union. It'll get there. It was always going to get there. 17 was always stupid. It's a weird era of, eight home games and 9 road games. So, I mean, having an even number of games is good. I don't know why we ever need to change from 16. And again, as a fan, I'm not going to complain about more football, but also I do care about stuff like single season records and things like that, right? And so baseball's been 162 forever. Hockey and basketball have been 82 forever. There is something to things like that for the fan experience that you just trample with this stuff too, because the owners are so freaking greedy that they just have to keep doing. They just have to be pushing and pushing and pushing. I mean, the valuations are only into several billions, and you've all only made billions and billions of dollars. You got to keep pushing, man. Got to get that cap up. Yeah.
I mean, hockey's about to expand too. They're going to 84 in 26, 27.
Yeah. But even that's okay, 2 more games in hockey. That's baseball was 154, I guess, until I don't even know what year that changed. But it's been a long time. And the NFL changed from 14 to 16 in I think the late 70s, right? And that was, to me, that was the perfect number. But
I agree.
Greedy owners.
Man, it's never going
greedy
back.
Owner, you're gonna greedy owner.
Florio is convinced that one day it's going to be 20 regular season games and no preseason games. That's what he said at the last part of this article. He said, it's gone 16-4, 17-3. It's going to get to 18-2. And he said, under that reasoning, 20 regular season games and no preseason games is a natural extension of the existing framework.
I think even with 18, because there's been some talk about, okay, do you go into some of these rules we talked about, which is you only can play 16 of the 18 or whatever, man, 20 games. I mean, at some point, are you not just begging for / guaranteeing that half of the league stars or more will get serious injuries?
You're hurting your product at some point. I know there's money involved, and that's all some of these people care about, and that's fine. But eventually you start hurting your product. And I think you need people smart enough and with perspective enough in charge of these things to be able to recognize that, I think.
And again, this is where the NFLPA, you can't
grow a spine.
Yeah.
Here.
You could have a couple of doozy quarterback matchups.
Yeah. That'd be good.
In these. I mean, pretty much every quarterback misses some games.
Right. Oh yeah.
Imagine some of the,
I mean,
again, have some glorious backup battles.
I mean, at the end of every year, and it's when you're going through the year, you're staying up on it. Maybe if you ever look back at any season, like a playoff run or whatever, it's oh yeah, I forgot that team was missing 4 of their top 6 players on defense and their number 2 receiver. You always forget these things. It's look around, and I think you're exactly right. There's a happy medium. There's a place where the product is optimal. I would say 16 was just fine. 20 would be insane.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, and also
20 would be
when they go.
Florio's wrong about a lot of stuff, so hopefully he's wrong about that.
When they go to 18, you have to. And people have brought this up on the text line. I agree. You have to add another bye week, right? You can't just be just 1 bye week, figure it out.
Yeah.
There needs to be at least 2.
Yeah. So you need to. Yeah, you
Super Bowl
need to start earlier,
mid-March.
or I guess at some point they're hey, we're the top product. Let's destroy March Madness and just play during that.
I mean, until the TV numbers go down, the ratings, it doesn't matter how many games they have there or how many fans show up, because TV just keeps adding more and more money to the league.
That's basically what Kraft said in this. He's we had that Amazon game, a playoff game a few weeks ago, and there are 31 million people that streamed for that one. It's wow, look at Robert Kraft keeping up with Amazon.
Yeah, congrats, Amazon. And do they do massages on Amazon?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question. Maybe may need to ask him that heading into the AFC title game. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us in the second half of the program. We will get deep into the Robert Salah hiring with him. We will switch gears for a few minutes coming up next. The Predators in action last night. It did not go well in the first period, and they have lost back-to-back games.
for the first time since late November. What does it all mean? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us in the second half of the program, and we will get into the Robert Salah hiring with him. Lots to get into with PK, so looking forward to that. Joe, the Predators were in action last night. They lose 5-3 to the Buffalo Sabres, and they started horribly in the game. I mean, they were not – I tweeted out halfway through the first period last night. It looked like they were skating in quicksand. They couldn't get the puck. Buffalo was dominating in the offensive zone. Frankly, Saros was bad last night, and, when you have a combination of not playing great in front of him, not getting the puck out of the zone, and then him just not stopping shots that he needs to stop. I think after the fourth goal, which is when he got pulled last night, I want to say their expected goals given up was like 1.6 or something like that, and they'd given up 4. Like, it's not very good. So Saros wasn't good last night. Team in front of him started horribly in the first period. And then about halfway through the second period, they dominated. They scored 3 goals. They probably could have legitimately scored 6 or 7 last night with the way that they played. But essentially, they lost the game in the first period, and now they've lost back-to-back games for the first time since November 16th through the 24th, where they lost 3 in a row. So they have not lost back-to-back games since then of any kind, regulation, overtime, whatever. And frankly, it's not a great time for it. I mean, we've talked about it. It's not that long from a games played standpoint until the NHL trading deadline comes around. So now you're at 50 points. You've played 49 games. You are 3 points back of San Jose, who's holding on to that final wild card spot. You have a game on Saturday, if it's played, against Utah. That's massive because they're the number 1 wild card team right now. So a couple of really important games coming up here for the Predators. But you've had Jonathan Marchessault come back in the lineup the last 2 games. It has not gone well. Now, I don't know that there's a direct causation/correlation there. But the fact is they have lost 7-2 against Vegas in the second half of a back-to-back on Saturday. And then last night did not go well. I mean, the first period was brutal from the Predators last night, and then they played great after that, but it was too little too late. So how are we feeling about the Predators right now after having lost 2 games in a row for the first time in basically almost 2 months?
Yeah, well, the Marchessault thing, that's a popular so he comes back and look at this. That seems to be out there. And also popular or unpopular with Philip Forsberg was how his team played last night.
He was
not basically
happy.
like, what? We had to decide we're just going to quit, right? I mean,
He said,
was pissed off.
The quote that Forsberg gave last night was, "We didn't move, we didn't work, we didn't compete. They were faster, stronger, won puck battles. It was pretty simple. We had a choice to make going into the second. It was either quit or actually start trying." That's what Philip Forsberg said last night. And let me tell you, he doesn't normally say stuff like that. He was pretty mad after the game last night.
Yeah. How often has he ever kind of popped off like that? Not too often. So, it's to their credit, they had to do they still ask me every once in a while, like once a week, we do these little things at the Athletic on, whatever, like all 32 stuff on the Preds, which is, and I'm an expert, of course, but
You are?
like a grade, I gave him a C. Because I was like, basically the first quarter of the season was an F, and I'd say the second quarter of the season has been an A. Like their response has been tremendous, but they still have so little margin for error.
Yeah.
So you're still like any sort of dip at all, and then you're just right back to, okay, well, never mind then.
Yeah.
So it happens. All these things, these ups and downs happen to every single team. But again, they created a very small margin for error for themselves, so they've got to immediately respond.
Well, they're in an interesting spot right now with their roster because, Barry Trotz was on with DVD yesterday, and he was asked at one point about, there's some unrestricted free agents that they've got coming up, like Bunting, his contract's coming up. Michael McCarron's contract is coming up. Eric Hall's contract. Like, they've got some guys that they're going to have to make a decision on. And Trotz basically said, I haven't really talked with their agents yet about the contract. Like, he's, we touch base, and I know like where everybody stands, but they have not committed to trying to sign these guys to a contract. And you're still kind of in limbo if you're Trotz of what are you going to do by the time the deadline comes around here. Now, we had a lot of people asking about Marchessault. You know, it has not gone well with Marchessault. He's been hurt for the majority of this year. And even when he's been in the lineup, it kind of feels like he's been battling through some things. But Trotz basically said it yesterday. Like, you know, right now with their depth at center, they've got Evangelista and Forsberg playing with O'Reilly. Stamkos has played with O'Reilly. And pretty much everybody who's played with O'Reilly this year has played pretty well. Marchessault just really hasn't gotten that opportunity. And right now, with where they're at with their depth, I don't know how productive Marchessault is going to be with what they've got at center right now. So I am interested if there's a team out there that looks at him and says, you know what, we feel pretty good about our center depth, and we feel like he could still be pretty productive at $5.5 million coming in. And I know there's some term left on that contract, but if you're the Predators, are you floating his name out there a little bit?
Yeah, I still have my doubts though that how much interest will there really be? Like you said, he's been banged up. It just hasn't gone well. I don't know if I don't know. Is he a malcontent? I mean, I guess, he's just a guy who speaks his mind, however you want to spin that.
I don't get malcontent from him.
That too much. That's overstating it.
Yeah.
I mean, he has said, he said what he really thinks. I guess it's possible, but I would wonder what the value is there. But again, I guess at this point, if you're going to be already moving some people, some contracts, then if you can get anything, then great, right?
It's worth considering, I would say, because I still think he could be pretty productive, but it's clear that he needs a centerman to operate, right?
Everyone needs Ryan O'Reilly.
Well, and frankly, right now, like, he's playing with Svechkov, and that's just not going to work. Like, Svechkov, it's not been very good from Svechkov this year, and that is concerning to me. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Bob and Antioch to the program. Bob, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. You were mentioning Forsberg's remarks after the game. It seems like there have been a number of games this year where veterans or Brunette have called out the team for its poor starts and lack of effort. Did you have a theory as to why the Predators seem to have had that problem throughout the year?
That's a good question. Thank you, Bob, for the call. I would separate last night's. Like, they have had some poor starts. They have been scored on first a lot this year. I think last time I checked, it may have changed since then, but last time I checked, I think they've been scored on first more than anybody in the league. So they have gone down 1-0 very quickly in some of these games. But the thing is, recently, when they've done that, they've been able to battle back and win a lot of those games. Last night's was different. Last night they got totally punked to start that game. And it was a combination of what Forsberg said of they didn't look like they were skating all that hard out there. It didn't look like, I don't know if they thought it was going to come easy. And again, like, nobody's ever going to say this after the game. I get it. But the goalie was bad last night. Like, he's got to make some saves. Like, you need to his credit, he has done that in their recent stretch. Like, it's not like Saros has been just horrible lately. Like, he's made some big saves and he's made some key saves at key times in some of these big wins that they've had. So I don't want to take that away from him. But last night he was not good. So I would separate last night's from most of what we've seen this year. I don't think that effort has been a huge problem from them this year. It was in the first period last night.
Yeah, and also just in general on Bob's question, I do think that if you closely follow teams in this league, like, these things happen, right? Like, sometimes people get pissed off, call some people out. You have sluggish games, right? I mean, it happens, I think, in the NBA and the NHL. So there is that too. I don't think that's been like obviously, especially lately, it's not been a thing. April in Portland says, I like Phil's response. They are what they are. They can play like garbage as they did in the first period, or come out and play like they did against Colorado. I'm a fan for life, so it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. Fans are fans. Well, some people think that way. Some people don't. Some people are, again, mad at this whole idea of them being competitive right now and fooling everybody.
Well, I mean, again, you look at the trade deadline and you're like, well, March the 6th or whatever it is. That's a long time away. Not that far away in terms of the decisions that Barry Trotz is going to have to make coming up here. So, and right now you're kind of right there in the mix, but you're also in the mix with, 4 or 5 other teams. So how do you evaluate that if you're Barry Trotz?
say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and good luck to you guys. That'd be great to make the playoffs.
That's probably how I would do it.
Caleb says, Svechkov farting stinks, man. You know, I'm really glad that we've been able to spread Hubert Davis's
I'm sure he would be very proud of you.
way of speaking to the entire Nashville area. Thanks, Hubert.
Yep. Appreciate your contribution to our show, Hubert.
His team farting stinks right now, too, by the way.
615
Might get farting fired.
737-1025 is our phone number. We will take your thoughts on the Nashville Predators.
Tell me.
Plus, a question that Rexrode has thrown out there on who should feel the worst about Indiana just mowing down people and winning a national championship. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Paul Kuharsky from PaulKuharsky.com will be with us here in a little bit. We will get heavy into the Robert Salah hiring with him. Joe, you've got a question to throw out there. In the aftermath of Indiana punching down the door, winning the national championship, the story that is Kurt Cignetti, Fernando Mendoza, and this Indiana Hoosiers football team. Who should be feeling the worst about Indiana in the aftermath of them just coming out of nowhere in the last 2 years and winning the national championship?
And you better believe this is me shamelessly promoting something I wrote in the Athletic today. But yes, I came up with, I don't remember, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6. I came up with 7 college football programs that should feel the absolute worst about this. Can you guess? Take a stab.
Oh, man. I mean, I was telling you the other day, like Tennessee football spends all this money.
There's one.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, Indiana comes out there and just wins a championship, and Tennessee can't sniff one. So yeah, I'd put them on the list.
So, and real quick, I'll give you a little more. It's, to me, it's basically the programs that haven't won it in a long time, but spend and do all the things to be there, and then just watch Indiana go, zoom, see ya.
USC, are they on the list?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. I would go Texas. Are they on the list?
Yes.
Okay. I would go, let's see here. Notre Dame, are they on the list?
Yes.
Yes. What is that, 4?
I think so.
I mean, does Florida qualify? Has it been a long time for them?
08, so they don't quite qualify. They would be a good. I made it, arbitrary, random.
Well,
I made it a 20-year cutoff.
What about Miami?
Absolutely.
The team they just beat.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's also if you specifically got because if you're Miami, you got this close and they opened the door for you to beat them and you didn't. And so now, again, all these teams you were mentioning have a chance to get back in there, but and then another one that was on there was Oregon. I mean, that's a team that's never won it and just got humiliated by them. And it's supposed to be better by any measure. Oregon has a way more talented team than Indiana, but the number 1 team, so I think that's 6, but the number 1 on the list we still have not mentioned yet, which again, we're talking long time with no championship, all the things you do to win a championship and you just can't do it. And also there's a tie to the
A&M
situation too. No, they actually.
I'm just thinking of the teams that spend the most money in my head.
Penn State.
Okay.
Because of course Penn State also, by the way, we're like, okay, well, let's just go get Cignetti. Actually, I'm cool at Indiana. Thanks though. Yeah. Even though I'm from Pennsylvania and everything, I'm gonna stay at Indiana and coach them. And Penn State, good luck to you. And then he goes 16-0 and wins the whole freaking thing. So yeah, it's in college football right now. It's absolutely anybody has hope. And I agree. And it's awesome. If Indiana can do this. And again, Vanderbilt just won 10 games. Texas Tech, there's different ways. Texas Tech is straight up we're just going to outspend you. Indiana didn't do that. Indiana doesn't have some insanely expensive roster. They just out-coached people basically, right? But there's more hope for more places than ever before, which is great. But yes, the programs that have actually been at the top or near the top, but not quite to the top, those are the ones that should feel worse. And really, I don't have any sympathy. I hear from Georgia fans, oh, this sport's broken. Yeah, I know. You wish we could go back to when there were a handful of you that could win it every year because you just completely cornered the market on a lot of things. You and Ohio State and Alabama and et cetera, et cetera. Screw you guys. I don't care about you. You have recent titles, and you're going to be in the mix again year after year.
I'll tell you one thing. It is, we've had the discussion for years about, is such and such program in today's era of college football capable of winning a national championship, right? We've had that with Nebraska. Is Nebraska today capable of winning a national championship? Well, I mean, if I'm any of these programs, even some that have been out of the mix for a while, it's well, freaking Indiana just won the national championship. Doesn't that tell you that if you do things the right way, and I understand, I mean, clearly Cignetti is special and his own type of guy here. But if Indiana can go win a national championship in football, can you really say at this point that nobody can do it? Can you say?
No, you absolutely cannot.
I know, again, this may sound crazy to people. Like, can you say that Vanderbilt can't win a national championship when Indiana just rolled through and did it?
You absolutely cannot say that. And again, that's just a completely change. The math is totally changed. Indiana and Northwestern continue to be in a battle for the most losses ever. I mean, it's only like 4 more losses or something for Northwestern, right? Like there is, and again, I can't think of like great equivalents to this. Obviously, none of this works in pro sports. I mean, you have bad franchises that rise up, go to a Super Bowl or whatever, but it's just not, the Royals winning the World Series when there's no cap, when it's a small market team. That's still not this. Not at all. No, if Indiana can win it all, and yes, I understand they do have they have a big school, they have a big alumni base, they have Big Ten money, but still, yes, anybody at least at that level of certainly in a Power 4 conference, you have no excuse. I'm not saying everybody must win it all. Everybody can't win it all. Everybody can't get the trophy. But all it is like you can do it now.
Well,
you just have to do the right things.
And I will say, and I think we're in a state where this could be a pretty good example. Like Tennessee, if you're Josh Heupel, we all know that this is a really important year for him next year in terms of, what's the future going to look like with him? And can you prove that you actually can compete for championships? Well, I mean, it doesn't really help you, I don't think, certainly with your fan base, because I've seen it, of really. So you guys spend all this money. We got to pay all this money to get in for the talent fees and all this other stuff. And you got this Adidas deal, and Indiana's just going to roll through and start winning national championships, and you guys can't do it. Like, you guys can't even sniff one. Like, I don't think that helps coaches like Josh Heupel in this situation at all.
Well, that's the thing. If it really look, I mean, how many ADs out there are like, okay, seriously, what? Okay, so there's a blueprint. They just put a blueprint out. So what is it that they do that we aren't doing that we can do? If you're an AD asking your coach, and that's what I wrote. I was like, if there's a truth serum, the coach would say he's better at coaching football than I am. I mean, and he's also like the evaluating of players. Yeah, some of it is he actually had some really good players with him, and he took them from James Madison, and so there's a little bit of timing, I guess, but still, look at the evaluation of players that he's been able to do in such a short period of time. And and another thing on the Tennessee part of it, I saw someone say this, no gimmicks. There's really nothing schematically innovative or anything. Like they play power football, and they're smart, and they execute, and they're just precise, powerful team that executes. And it's like, I'm not saying, again, like we just all miss with the same offense do well, but like sometimes then you look at Tennessee's offense, you're like, can that, I'd rather see my team come out there and smack someone in the mouth, and play that brand of football. But obviously it's a flavor of the month too.
Heupel's got to work on his facial expressions. Everybody's going to be trying to copy Cignetti on the sideline now.
Yeah, well, no one's gonna. He has a special knack for. I don't even know. Again, he looks a little bit like Michael Douglas in Falling Down. Like there is a little bit of a falling down energy with him on the sideline. But we've had some great gifts or memes.
Oh, it's still going.
Gifts.
Yeah. I mean, the one especially where he's looking down the line to see whether or not he thinks they got the first down, and he just doesn't break eye contact with the camera. It's kind of amazing. Just pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I've told you this off the air. Like Cignetti, I think it's been a great story. I think that a lot of what he has done is hilarious in terms of just his quirkiness and all that. I think he's about a year away from everybody being like, all right, I'm tired of this dude. Really tired of this dude. That's what it goes. That's how it goes in college football. You start winning a lot, people get tired of you pretty quick.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's already happening a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, again, this year I'm like, yeah, they'll go like 8-4, which is great for Indiana. Good job. Well, are they going to be? Is this a dynasty? The Indiana football dynasty?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Don't know. They lost to Mendoza. They're going to lose 2 Mendozas. One to the draft and one to apparently Georgia Tech.
That's true. Yeah, young Mendoza going to. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's their back. I have no idea. But I'd be surprised if he just came in there and started.
We'll see. They play
Obviously,
Tennessee.
Cignetti's like, hey, thanks a lot. Your brother's really good, and you can go somewhere else.
Yeah,
now.
go
Thanks.
have fun at
All right.
Georgia Tech.
All right.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get back into the hiring of Robert Salah by the Tennessee Titans coming up next. Paul Kuharsky will be with us in the second half of the program as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com is with us here on the program. PK, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. It's a little chilly. Getting ready for the blizzard.
Death Storm 26.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
You going to go sledding? You a sledder?
I have a sledder in the house. I've kind of retired from all of this. I'm an indoorsman now.
I stay inside.
Yeah.
I went sledding. I think this was probably 2017, 2018. Decided, my parents have this, good amount of property, big hill, bunch of trees around. I said, you know what? I can navigate between the trees and a nice separation of the shoulder. Right into the tree. It was good stuff.
No kidding. Well, your sledding prime is here. Like, you're gonna have to
oh yeah,
get out there.
And
Allison's gonna want to be in that
be
snow,
ready to
man.
go.
I mean, I'm done. I want to say I'm done trying to comprehend it, but I'm not. Like, my wife went to the grocery store last night because she knew everybody would go to the grocery store last night. And it was, produce was like, there's nothing, like lettuce is gone. So, but your lettuce is bad by the time it starts snowing. So are people gonna eat a bunch of salads?
Preparation salads.
Yeah, preparation salads
Pre-storm
in order
salads.
to get to eating junk in the weekend. Like, do people not trust that delivery trucks will still arrive on Thursday? Like, what is this diseased mentality?
I don't know. Everybody always focuses in on the bread and the milk, but it's you walk in there. I bet you walk into one of these local grocery establishments Friday morning, it's going to be pretty scarce in there.
Bam.
Be my guess.
This could be a good rant, actually.
So
Should have saved this for the rant.
Well, it's such a common rant. It's kind of
Well, they can't all be, unique special.
No, I want a
rants,
home
Paul.
run from you every day.
No, I'm counting on you to do the rant this week.
I
yeah.
didn't get a text.
See, well, then stop talking about it. Just save it. And get real mad.
No,
and then
we're finishing
10
it
minutes
up now. But somebody help us understand the psychology behind this. That 4 days prior, you've got to get produce.
Yeah.
Like, what's the matter with you?
Yeah, it's like it's people think like they're going to be holed up for a month. It's like on Wednesday and next week, everyone will probably be moving around okay.
I think so.
So
hope so.
So like in 4 days, do you not have do you not have any food? Everyone is just completely just barren in their house.
It's like
Who's at the
movie,
grocery store?
a doomsday movie.
Well, see how it goes.
All those people with
Godspeed,
shelters
everyone.
in their backyard and canned beans, they'll be fine.
That's true. That is true. A lot of food available. So PK, Robert Salah is now the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and we've got a lot to discuss on that front in terms of the ins and outs of it. But let's just start with your general thoughts on Robert Salah as the next head coach. He's somebody we've talked about with you for a while at this point, and now that he has ended up with the job, what do you make of who the Titans have hired here?
I think he's a promising choice. He's got a lot of endorsements from a lot of impressive people. And you have to like the vibe that he brings, and these teams are going to play good defense. Question is all about who he can bring in offensively. I think he'll get somebody good, but what they can do with the quarterback and with the offense, and how much of his struggles with the Jets, where the results were very poor, were based on the context of the Jets, a far more dysfunctional team that had a bad quarterback in Zach Wilson. And then their plan B was Aaron Rodgers, who came with his own coordinator, who everybody knew was weird and not good, except in the very special world where he and Aaron Rodgers lived together. And then when Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles 4 snaps into that, it becomes a very messy thing. And so how much of it was the context of New York? There were people who very much don't want to give him any allowance for that, and there are people who want to give him complete allowance for that. I think the truth's going to wind up being in the middle, but we'll see just how much, and that's the single biggest question that hangs over it right out of the gate.
Yeah. I've definitely heard, in the last couple of days, heard from some people that are like, man, you can't just separate him from all that
No,
stuff.
absolutely not.
I don't think he handled it well, right? I think the media stuff was, and I remember at the time, like, really? He's like trying to sit there and figure out who the source is and stuff or whatever. And I don't know. I guess there was something about Giants coverage too, but like stuff like that is like a coach who is taking his eye off the ball, right?
Yeah.
But that's also seems like one of those. I mean, that seems like specifically a situation that you should be able to learn from. And also, like, you aren't going to encounter the same kind of thing, right? Like, I mean, I think probably coaching a team like a New York team is probably different than probably any other market,
Definitely.
really, right?
But you can't get distracted from the main thing, and look, Nagy was talking about that as he did this big self-scout where 40 people talked off the record to his investigator or Laura Oakman, who's got a nice business there.
Here's why you suck, Matt.
Yeah, right. So you have to self-scout, figure out the mistakes you made, where you got away from the main thing, and concentrate really on keeping the main thing. And if he can do that better off the second time around, his defensive stuff. I mean, people around the league really respect what he does defensively and his defensive mind. So, I mean, if you're starting there with a good foundational defense, that's not a bad place to start. And this team was bad, and was getting over 20 points late in the season with a bad roster and a rookie quarterback who was still making a lot of mistakes and everything. Well, if he comes in and has a defense that, is holding you under 20, your starting point isn't terrible.
Raise the floor.
Yeah. I mean, then, and we're going to get into this, but so much of this to me comes down to who does he hire as offensive coordinator? How good are they, right? Like how good is the hire at offensive coordinator? Because, say what you will about Zach Wilson, but you just mentioned it. Nathaniel Hackett was a disaster, and he could not overcome that in New York. And how much of that is Woody Johnson and just the crazy situation that is the New York Jets? I do think there's probably been too much of you have to just totally absolve everything from the Jets because it's the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Darnold's been really good, and Todd Bowles went down to Tampa Bay, and he's been good. So I get it. Like, you have to pay attention to those things, but I said it several times yesterday. There has to be some growth from spot 1 to spot 2 if this is going to be any different for Robert Salah here in Tennessee.
Absolutely. And, in terms of the coordinator, I don't know that Mike McDaniel was going to happen. Obviously, it's not happening because he's gone to the Chargers to work with Herbert. Interesting pairing there with Harbaugh.
Yes, and think about that interview.
Yeah, very
stare at each other.
Very weird staring, and maybe some non-eye contact.
Yeah.
I and it's picked up steam around with the Nationals, but I had mentioned Daboll. I think Daboll could be like, I mean, he might have the option if he gets a head coaching job. Obviously, in Buffalo, it's a done deal. That would be a weird hire to me. Now, if maybe they want him back there with whoever they hire as offensive coordinator, well, you could reestablish yourself with your guy, and that could carry you a long way, and you could have a lot of success with Josh Allen, but people would expect you to, right? If he's trying to get back in the head coaching pipeline, it would serve him better, don't you think, to come and turn Cam Ward into somebody instead of working with an already MVP to maintain MVP level stuff.
Yeah, but
it's not working for Joe Brady in terms of getting him into the pipeline.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I also think overall success generally vaults you. And then if you're not sure, you could turn someone to something, or it might be like, actually that guy wasn't that good, and so now I look like I can't develop quarterbacks, right? You can flip it around.
Could flip it around. I think he'd be, terrific. They have not worked together, Salah and Daboll, but they were the coaches of New York's pro football teams simultaneously, so they certainly have a lot in common. and have gone through
They
similar
both
circumstances.
had to drive to that crappy stadium in New Jersey many times together. Yes.
Hating on the
together.
stadium.
Opposite weekends.
Well,
probably.
yeah. Well, that's true. I think they probably always play a preseason game, don't they? Don't they
Yeah.
always play a preseason
Oh, I'm
game?
sure they do.
There you go. Yeah, Dayball, you think he'd be terrific? I don't know, man. His personality kind of.
Keep him out of the injury test.
I think he would be good because he wanted Cam Ward. He studied Cam Ward. They obviously had a plan for Cam Ward. They wanted to trade into number one to get Cam Ward.
Yep.
Sorry to remind you, Titans fans.
There's that. There's that.
Yeah.
Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in Joe to the program. Joe, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, fellas. Hey, with Salah running the defense and pulling those levers, and then the offensive coordinator being like in charge of the offense, is there going to be like a strategy analytics person? And like,
Amy.
how does the communication of strategy and sort of the logistics piece work with Salah in charge of the defense? Thanks, guys.
It's no
Good question.
different. It's no different than with any head coach. I think the vast majority, I mean, I have to sit down and look. A good percentage of NFL head coaches call one side of the ball or not. I don't think it's as complicated as people make it out to be. And I want Salah calling the defense. I mean, I want you doing the thing that made you attractive. And the thing that makes Salah a good coach is that he calls a great defense.
Okay. I'll argue with you next. That'll be
All
the
right.
rant.
There we go.
Me yelling at you is the rant.
We will
Thank
do
you.
that coming up next. The Rex
I
rant
love doing that.
with Joe Rexrode, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Magic and Larry Bird saved the NBA.
Hopefully scale down the crazy dressing habits that he picked up down there.
Whoa, here, come on down, buddy. Why don't you just score on me? Yeah, he's like, I want him to
Very
slap
violent.
the fart out of you. I'm like, geez, calm down. Gout is mental. No, it is not mental.
Have you eaten strawberries, Chief?
Why are people still saying stupid crap like this? I'm basically making out with the microphone.
Woo, 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 woo.
It's sports.
It is time for the Rex Rant, brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Heal from the inside out. Check them out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net.
Now we need the annotations. Like, why did I say woo?
I know. I always have to be like, wait, what was that from? Why do we sound so dumb? Don't we sound smart when we actually talk, or do we sound?
I feel like more like that's Joe being Joe. But when did I say woo? When did I say woo, woo, woo?
Were you calling the Hogs?
No.
Well, pig.
Hey, by the way, I have to change my rant. Okay.
We were promised one thing. And
I
now we're going
know.
on
But
somewhere
Chase
else.
from White Bluff just said
Found something good.
Chase from White Bluff just said Magic Johnson is a 6'9" Ben Simmons. And Chase from White Bluff is a basketball guy. Chase, I if you're not trolling, I will never listen to you ever talk about basketball ever again the rest of your life. He's a top 5 player of all time. He's the best point guard of all time.
Ben Simmons?
No, not Ben Simmons. Good
Great
God, that is an atrocious take. No, I will argue with you, PK. I don't. I mean, the Titans put out there sort of this is the type of coach they want. Which again, basically is like code for we want another Vrabel after we lost Vrabel. So they get Robertson. I'm not saying they have the same personality, but yeah, it's
Stylistically.
they're in the same. They're in the same
neighborhood.
Genre, right, of coach.
Both big.
I don't. Yeah, that's right. I don't agree with you on calling defensive plays. I mean, like it's not. I'm not saying it's like the end of the world if you do it or if you don't do it, but I feel like you want to bring in a coordinator and empower a coordinator and have that person and have it set up that way. You bring in, you're the head coach of the defense. More and more, there's a lot of teams like that where that's my side, that's your side. But to me, the play calling offensive head coach has been very effective, and I think it's a much more difficult thing and more involved. Whereas I feel like calling defensive plays, I'm not saying it's like not important, it's important, but I just feel like you're taking away what's supposed to be your power as what Vrabel does on the sideline. Vrabel is out there with, come on, Drake, I mean, he's doing all this stuff. He's not calling defensive plays. And I think that there's value in not doing it. And I understand. I heard Salah's, commentary about like he felt detached and everything, but don't be detached then. Be the culture head coach that you're supposed to be.
I'm not hell-bent on it. I just think among his, we're asking him to reconsider the things that failed for him in his 3 years and 5 games. And if he feels like that's one of the things that didn't work for him, then I'm fine with him changing it. And I'm more fine because it's defensive side of the ball. I think it's not the same thing as calling offensive plays for sure. So my biggest thing, and we've talked about this before, is, and I don't want to sound like Matt Nagy, but you got to be the guy that they're hiring, right? Too many guys either go in and change from the get-go. Okay, I'm a head coach now. I've got to be a different guy than I was as the coordinator that got hired. Or as soon as example there is Greg Williams, who went to Buffalo and was a completely different guy out of the gate. Or when things start to go wrong, like Nagy had a plan, and then it's the Tyson thing, you get punched in the face, and then he just does something completely different than his plan. And then he spends this whole time campaigning. Well, this time I'm not going to do that. This time my BU philosophy, I'm actually going to stick to it when things go wrong, which somehow I didn't foresee happening with the Bears. I just thought I'd be me and everything would go normal and I'd stay me. because I didn't anticipate all the things that go wrong when you're a head coach of an NFL team, which is part of the reason I didn't really love his candidacy, because it seemed like he thought it was too simple. So if Salah felt like it did something to his connection with the team that he didn't call plays, plus I think he's really good at it, then I want you to do your thing. But I'm not hell-bent on it. I didn't mean to suggest I would.
No, I think it gets I do think optically even like there's a difference in how even the fans view it, right? Of like an offensive play caller and a defensive play caller. Like one of the things we heard about Nagy, right, was like people were complaining for the last 2 weeks. Nagy wants to be the coach, but he's not going to call plays. Like, why are we hiring an offensive guy that doesn't call plays? And we don't ever hear that about the defensive side of the ball there. It's just interesting how people
the
view
Nagy
thing,
thing, just as an aside, is so bizarre now because he sold himself as a head coach, offensive head coach who wasn't going to call plays.
But
now he's not going to get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
So what? Now he's got no. Well, as an offensive coordinator, I'm happy to call plays. But that's the promotion I'm looking for from Kansas City.
He did say something.
Now that I'm out on the market.
He did say something to that effect before all this, that he would also be open to being a play calling OC. I mean, basically, like he was going to be out of there.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, like with the whole Nagy thing. Like Pompey's story was great on him, but it's like, and then there's a lot in there about the relationship with Andy Reid, but it does kind of feel like, I mean, obviously things didn't go well. Last couple of years have not gone well for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Not saying it's all on him, but it's like it almost feels like yeah, we need to part ways.
They don't seem to be that upset by losing him.
No,
I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So while I think the fan reaction to him, like he was the worst possible hire, while like a Salah would be just an incredibly great hire when. I mean, like Nagy's head coaching tenure was objectively much better than him.
Yeah.
But I do like that is another red flag on him. What about him as OC?
I don't think it went not here.
No way.
Well,
what if Salah strikes out?
I'm not saying no way, but Herndon's the one that pointed this out. Like it's an awfully awkward situation to have a guy who wanted your job,
Matt LaFleur, Mike Vrabel,
who's good friends with the GM.
That's different.
In the office down the hall.
Yeah.
So I
don't you think that just fits perfectly with this franchise? I think it's actually exactly what should happen.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Paul Kuharsky with us for the rest of the program. We got a whole lot to get into on the Robert Salah Tennessee Titans front. We will do that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Ah, yes. The snow, not the only storm coming. Kuharsky is with us for the rest of the hour. Talking all things Tennessee Titans, the hiring of Robert Salah. We welcome your questions on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Dogs pee on him, too.
I don't think that we've noted enough here. I don't think we've noted it at all. So let me be
Robbie,
the first
I
to
cut you
note.
off, saying the phone number. Now I'm cutting off.
People know it.
Talking. It's okay.
Let me be the first to know that Mike McCoy is no longer the interim head coach of Tennessee Titans.
Where's he going to end up?
That's
We need to play some music.
who knows? Who cares?
You miss him. How about Bill Callahan? I saw you taking some shots at him on Twitter.
Well, it's just like everybody in the national NFL media refuses to acknowledge that Bill Callahan had 2 awful years here. And
Was he
I'm
awful?
going to remind them.
Was he awful? I don't know.
I mean, he was
He
given,
didn't work a miracle.
I don't know. They had to work a miracle. I mean, the line, and to be honest, probably his work ultimately paid off down the line. But
Got better when we left.
in his time, he was given a lot of resources, and things didn't pay off. Also, this Olga and Bertha thing, everybody making it like he owns it. The Titans buy their coaches' equipment. The coaches don't bring
He
in their own
invented
equipment.
those. He invented Olga and Bertha.
That's fine, but do you think he funded them? Hey, I'm going to the GM. I'm going to be buying some sleds.
No, he probably sold it to him.
Could you get the guys to open the dock? They're going to show up between noon and 1. And it's the NFL. Teams buy equipment, not coaches. The Titans own Olga and Bertha. I'm very, very confident.
Well, are they
Wow.
still using them? I mean, if
Sleds.
Bill Callahan wasn't good, then right?
I don't
then
know
why
if they'll
not
use them or not. Here's what
get
they'll
some
do.
new sleds?
They'll either take them and they'll use them, or they'll put them in the shed, or they'll donate them to some college or high school.
Let me tell you that Robert Salah is hiring Mike McCoy to be an offensive analyst tweet is going to hit so hard this offseason. I can't wait here in the next couple
I
of weeks.
hope so. Oh, that'd be amazing.
It's like, he's still around, baby. Here we go.
Gotta have that guy. He's like the new Arthur Smith. Gotta have that. It doesn't matter who gets fired. He's
He'll
gonna
be here
hang
for
around.
4 regimes.
He loves this organization. He made it very clear in his last press conference.
How about him, by the way? Arthur Smith.
Possible. I would think possible.
So let's kind of go through this in terms of timeline here. PK, I mean, obviously we've talked about it. Nagy, Salah, Hafley, your finalists. I mean, we knew as of Sunday that it was probably pretty likely that Hafley was going to end up in Miami. And of course he did. Everybody around here just kind of assumed that Nagy was going to end up being the head coach. And then they make the decision to hire Robert Salah. So what is your understanding of how this all shook out? When was it that Salah was clear that he was going to be their guy? And I guess for deeper clarification on this, how involved do you think Amy Adams Strunk was in this entire process?
Well, let's hit the beginning of that first. I'd love to hear from everybody that just insisted that since October is going to be Matt Nagy.
We had a lot of that on Monday.
We've been still sending apologies
of airtime and tweets, but just stating opinion is fact. The mea culpa stuff just insufficient to me. Look, Nagy went first on Monday, and then Albert Breer is phenomenal. His ability to get people to tell him how things unfold. I don't know how he does it. I can't get that. But I did get, there was a controversial paragraph at ESPN that was in and then was out. And I reported quickly that is not what I was told happened. I don't believe that's what happened. Albert Breer said nothing of that happening with Amy nudging. My understanding is she was fine either way, and she was truly letting Mike Borgonzi have it. My impression is that she doesn't want to be I'm sure she'll take the credit for it if it works, but if it doesn't work, she's going to be able to say, well, I didn't hire him. Mike Borgonzi hired him. So he talked to them for 5.5 hours. They had done a ton of research on all of these guys before. So people may not think 5.5 hours is a long time, but they talked if not to him, which would have been illegal, to a ton of people that know him. And in this network, you have a lot of people in common that you can talk to. LaFleur being one, and on you go. And so it sounds like he knocked their socks off in this personal interview, and I think it's largely an energy and personality thing that set him apart and made him so different from Matt Nagy. And that's what led Mike Borgonzi to him.
I will quibble with you slightly, and mostly not the way you said it there, but you wrote that basically that's not true. The whole, and just to me, it's like sources told you that's not true, right? I mean, okay. There's a limitation that unless you're in the room that we all have, right?
That's fine. I mean, I don't want to take on somebody personally in his reporting. If I reported it and it got retracted, nobody would have any problem believing it wasn't accurate. And I agree, it's as good as my sources. My sources are airtight, and it got retracted. And Albert Breer gave a pretty good rundown of what happened and didn't make mention of that thing.
But it's also, yeah,
so I'm quite comfortable saying it didn't happen.
Again, I'm not sitting here like questioning your reporting or anything like that. All I'm saying is this things like that. First of all, you're talking about TD and ESPN. I trust both of you and your sources. And second of all,
TD's great.
And second of all, some of these things do come down to semantics too, right? Like people get in their head, this idea of we're gonna hire my guy Matt Nagy, and then it's like no, and Amy comes in and and shouts him down. I mean, the owner has input, right? Is the owner not gonna have input in any of these situations? So the semantics of a back and forth conversation could have one person in the room having the impression that it was like an owner changing someone's, and I'm these things are a lot more, I think, conversational human interactions that lead to something than, again, I'm here, I'm making you do this. So
again,
it's just there's so much gray area, right?
Yes. But if you have that, you have it.
Yes, but sure.
So where does it go?
Okay. If you have that, you have it. Yes. But also, and I've sure as hell experienced this. I've also been told things that happened in a room that were completely different from one person and then another person. They're both in the room.
Right. Well, you sort it out then and decide what to report.
Sure. I understand that. I'm just saying, really, I'm boiling it down to have certainty that Amy was just like, yeah, you guys do your job. I'm good. I'm a little bit skeptical of that. And I'm not even saying it's wrong of her to be the owner of the team and have input. I'm just saying.
I think
it's.
I think it's an unfortunate situation, to say the least, that when a bell gets rung now, we know it never gets unrung. And so if it didn't happen that way, which I don't believe it did, and Albert Breer doesn't believe it did, that now there's going to be, for years and years, people are going to say it happened that way.
Well,
on a paragraph that went away.
Well, if he stinks, then the fan base will absolutely
condemn her,
hold that against her. And if he's good, then she'll be like, yeah, you can say it if you want. Right? I mean,
throw it out there.
Yeah, I'll even come and tell you at the tailgate.
So a lot of people have asked us about McCarthy and whether or not, either from his standpoint or from the Titans standpoint, there was any sort of real interest. And, Pelissero had the tweet yesterday that made it seem like McCarthy pulled himself out of the running Monday morning.
How do you pull yourself out of the running when you're not a finalist?
I know. So that's what I'm asking. What's your best understanding of what happened with the Mike McCarthy stuff?
Look, they spent some time with Mike McCarthy, a longer time than they spent with other people, but it did not translate to them wanting to hire Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy was never getting this job. Never. And I got killed when I said there was questionable interest.
By who? Who was mad at you? I forget.
the internet.
What's his name?
Internet dweebs. I don't know.
Internet dweebs.
You're such a troll.
Look, they did not
Say my name, Kuharsky.
They did not like Mike McCarthy for this job. Did he spend more time with them? Did they have a meeting with him that it came out
in Wisconsin?
Who added the detail to that it was in it might have been Schefter. I don't know who it was. That it was in Wisconsin in December. That's not an official interview, but obviously it's not insignificant that they got together with him and did that. But to insist on calling him a finalist when it's very clear, my report, multiple reports nationally, that they were down to Stefanski, who quickly disappeared, Hafley, Nagy, and then as soon as they could with Salah, they transferred it from the Zoom to an in-person thing. I mean, why are we talking on Monday about McCarthy when they have two guys in the building and then Hafley gets hired and it's clear they're choosing between the two guys in the building? And because of this thing, I get everybody saying, well, what about McCarthy's finalist standing?
Well, what? Okay, but why was he never getting this job? Why wasn't he taking more seriously?
Because he's an outdated, old school guy who hasn't evolved and won't.
Then why talk to him at all?
Because Brinker's friends with him, and because they cast a wide net and they talk to people.
I thought you said they hated each other.
And they wanted to, I never said they hated each other. Because they wanted to see, I think, if in fact
he still hates him,
if he has evolved and if he's changed and if he's done that stuff. But I've talked to multiple people around the league who say that that's his reputation. Nobody will listen to me on this for some reason. And apparently people think that still there's going to be an announcement that Mike McCarthy's the new Titans head coach.
Does this guy, who I don't like very much and who I think is very outdated, has he changed a lot? Oh, nope. Bye, Mike. See you later.
I don't think he's legitimate for Pittsburgh either. I mean, you have to, like, how naive are people that they don't think some of these reporters are glossing up some coaches who've been good to them to help them out.
Glazing. Some people
that gloss glazing too. You can gloss.
Okay.
You can.
Lip gloss. They're putting lip gloss on.
A little gloss and a little glaze.
Hey, lipstick on a pig.
With that, let's head back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, PK, in the 100 years I've been listening to you, I don't know for sure that I've ever heard you agree with anyone. And so you may not agree with me on this, and that's okay. So your big problem with Mike McCoy and the way you feel about him is the exact same way I felt about Brian Callahan. And so, like, I harbored a lot of, like, something with this guy. Like, the whole time he was there, I was like, and I think it goes back to, and I'm not to just squat on the guy, but it goes back to, I feel like he, even that weird speech where he had, and he's like, I feel like, it felt like he went to his dad and was like, what do I need to do? He's like, you need to go fire these guys up. Like, I feel like he always leaned on daddy, and I'm not sure about that. He might not have, but
so what's our point? I mean, Brian Callahan's been gone since week 6.
Like that. Is there any chance that that's the case where his dad actually got in the way of him being a good coach? I think he sucks, but is there any chance that the dad actually hurt him?
I don't know. I mean, how much worse could he have been if it went the other way with his dad?
You never know with Adam. I like this. I like this idea. This is a bad parenting has actually been part of the Titans' issues.
Well, I'm curious though, dude. Like, was it that big of a miss? Is he that untalented, or is it like?
Yeah, he's a very bad head coach.
Dad, tell me how to be a head coach. When actually, I didn't think his dad was a very good head coach. Man, I remember him taking over that Raider team. So like.
Super.
No, I'm just wondering if he got in the way of him.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate the call.
I mean, I think he had enough time to say, well, this part isn't working with my dad. I'll try it another way or whatever. I'm not going to blame it on Bill. I'm going to blame it on Brian.
I like that his dad's like, hey, son, good luck to you. I'm going to Atlanta. Bye. Okay.
Don't be too fast because Brian might be right behind him.
You think so? Okay. I have a Brian Callahan thing I'd like to say. I don't know why we're talking about him right now, but hey, I have one more thing to say about it.
Hopefully severely limit the Brian Callahan discussion.
One more thing.
Our review of Brian Callahan continues after the break. Don't change that dial.
Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Paul Kuharsky is with us. PK, I'm going to ask you a question that you may not have an answer to, but that's fine.
Great.
I'm sure it's your favorite.
Have to look back.
Yeah. Is there any sense, and I realize that this happened way late in the game, so I have no idea from the Titans' vantage point if they even tried. Is there any sense that there was any sort of consideration on the Sean McDermott front when it came out on Monday that he was going to be available at that point?
I don't know. I find it hard to believe they wouldn't have done some level of check-in, but also the timing, is difficult for them where they are. And are they going to, risk losing out on somebody that they really liked in order to have a potentially low percentage chance at McDermott? Seen teams thrown out with McDermott, but not any action here 2 days later, and none that I've seen. So I think it's complicated, and this is unlike anything that we've seen, because coaches who go a couple of rounds into the playoffs are not typically available.
Yep.
That's a heck of a story in Buffalo. Not that they would make a change, but that they would make a change and then hand all the power to the GM who assembled the roster that is failing the coach.
And clearly, this is reading stuff after the fact, like the power struggle between those two. That's what it is, right? He just won a power struggle, and McDermott had real issues with what he was doing as a GM. I'm not sure that Buffalo made the right choice here.
It always gets there with in a more traditional GM coach setup. It's just a matter of how long do they work to the same ends before somebody's set up to be blamed for the shortcomings.
Let's head back to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Ed in New Jersey to the program. Ed, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys. So I have a hard time thinking that Nagy's not going to be a part of this somehow. And I'm just running the theory by you. What if Salah presented in his plan that Nagy was one of his options? Now, it's a reach, but is there a scenario where he might have even reached out to Nagy and said, hey, may the best man win, but if this doesn't work out, would you be my the CEO of the offense and come run it? I mean, if he presents that plan to Berganzi and team can think, hey, I'm getting the best of both worlds. I got my guy in Salah, plus I can get Nagy. So I'm just wondering if you think that's an option.
Thank you. I appreciate the call.
Would be smartly proactive, certainly. But if he's got what he thinks are better options, maybe you could put it on your list. And I think there's a feeling out there that and there are reports out there that he came not just with a plan, but kind of a succession plan, or an idea that what happened to Vrabel could happen to him if things go well, and that he's going to be ready for it.
Yeah, he's got access to the best pipeline of offensive play calling talent there is in the league. Direct access, basically. So I have to think, to answer Ed's question, I'd be surprised if that's how they talked about it, because I've got to think that he's going to go down that road, right, and have his own ideas. And one of his ideas wasn't, hey, and by the way, I know you're interviewing Matt. I mean, he could be OC. I mean, that's probably something that could become a Vrabel LaFleur type situation.
Well, and there's so many, to your point. Obviously McDaniel didn't work out, and I have no idea where McDaniel was on conversations that took place between Salah and the Titans. But there's a lot of people on that list of people that he's been either in direct contact with or in that tree that are intriguing options for offensive coordinator. And some of those have called plays before. Some of those, like Clay Kubiak and Adam Stinovich and those type of guys, haven't. But there's a pretty long list of guys there.
And with regard to McDaniel, I think it's a smart tact by him to go say, look, I could take this established guy who hasn't broken through. Let's see what I could do with him. And that could get me back in good graces for a head coaching job in short order, as opposed to taking somebody that needs a couple of years to be built up.
What do you think about how would you give us your ranking of we'll take Nagy out of it, of possible.
I'm stuck on Dable.
I'm stuck on Dable. Interesting. What about Kingsbury?
You know, that the interest between the alleged interest between the Titans and Kingsbury did not. My understanding is it didn't come from the Titans side, and that they didn't really miss out on an interview there. That was maybe agent driven. And so when we had the 18 names, but only the 16 interviews, I don't know what happened with Shula. I think Shula probably picked his, only had a limited amount of time and didn't maybe think this was the best job for him. But Kingsbury, I'm not so sure the Titans were interested in for head coach. Now, I don't know what that means about him as coordinator. But I also read some stuff about him, like he doesn't move his lead receiver around very much, and that was an issue in Washington, that McLaurin was always in the same spot, and that doesn't really test the defense very much. And as I read more about that doesn't excite me a whole lot.
We have talked about running back and all this, like looking ahead to decisions they've got to make this offseason, and Breece Hall as a name that's come up a lot in connection to the Titans. I mean, he did coach Breece Hall in New York.
Is that good or
does
bad?
that make it
right.
more or less likely that Breece Hall is the running back here
Yeah.
come this offseason? That's going to be
Does he
interesting.
like him or does he not like him?
That's going to be
Both ways. You ask that question.
Let's head back to our phone line.
He's not
Welcome in
bad when he's healthy.
Dr. Locke to the program. Dr. Locke, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
What's up, fellas?
What's up?
Hi.
What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, I love the Salah pick. That was my guy from the beginning. I thought, I didn't think we were going to spend 18 million, 20 million and go after Harbaugh after spending 3 million on, we spent the least we could, and you get what you pay for with Callahan. All we gave Callahan was $3 million, and what'd you get for $3 million? Well, you got a crappy coach. So, we drug our feet for Harbaugh, which really made us look bad with egg on our face. When Amy Adams finally reached in the purse and said, "Okay, I'll pony 20 million up," and we were figuring out our pitch, he's already inking a contract in New York, and that was a really bad look for us. We didn't even get to pitch him because we drug our feet. Now we get Salah. We'll pay him. He was making $8 million. We'll probably pay him $10 million. So if we were ready to go 20, we've still got room to go spend spend some good money and get a hell of an OC. And Mike McDaniel, to me, was the clear best OC available. Again, drug our feet, didn't pitch him. You know what? Decisive owners get what they want. The New York Giant coach, from what I've read, was on the phone the day Harbaugh got let go, saying, "I want you in New York." Decisive owners get what they want. He knew his man. He didn't care about the money. Didn't drag his feet. Got his man.
Hey, the thing is here, those coaches have choices. John Harbaugh.
Am I done? Hey, Paul.
Yeah,
You don't get unlimited. You don't get
to
unlimited
decide
time.
if you're done or not.
You don't
By the
get
way,
unlimited
you are
time.
done. Get off the line.
You don't get unlimited time, and you were droning on. Coaches get to decide if Harbaugh, assertive owner or not. The Titans were second in line very clearly for Harbaugh. Mike McDaniel, had conversations with the Titans. He knows what their intentions are, and he wanted to go to the Chargers.
Yeah, like I understand what he's trying to say, but the problem is sometimes your job just isn't as attractive, and you can't tie every person's decision to not
wanting to be with you.
Just being no. He's trying to say it's because they're not decisive enough, or the ownership. Yeah. You just don't know that.
Well,
And that may be true in some of the situations. Sometimes. How do we know the Titans didn't call right away too? And they just weren't going to beat the Giants.
It's clear.
And that's okay. That some guy might not. That's not an indictment of your franchise. Mike McDaniel might have loved Cam Ward and loved the opportunity here, and just liked Herbert better.
Well, and
that's okay. That's real world.
It's also clear on the Harbaugh front that I don't know how big of a factor it is, but it's clearly a factor. Like, he loves the allure of the Giants. Like, it's very clear in his comments. And the Titans do not have that allure. Like,
And the
they're
Titans
not
didn't drag
one of the
their
pillar
feet.
franchises in the league.
Titans didn't drag their feet there. Titans might have been the first phone call. It might have been the second phone call. When does the guy answer his phone? And when do you call? And does it kick to voice? You know what I mean? Do you think because Mara got through first Oh my God, this guy called me first. I'm going to the Giants. What if Arizona had called first?
Well, I guess I have to go there.
Well, they want me the most. They won the phone race. If you win the phone race, I mean, listen, I thought I wanted the Giants, but Monty Ossenfort's quick finger, that determined everything.
I mean, he
Cardinals,
Snapchatted
here
me.
I come.
He Snapchatted me before they even called me.
It's
It's
amazing. What can I do? What can I do? Sorry, honey, we're going west.
Well, I have no idea who the quarterback's going to be. We have more with Paul Kuharsky coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us here on the program, taking your thoughts on the hiring of Robert Salah at 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025.
Robby getting huge shout-outs for his phone management, also from the three of us.
Sit there and act like you're in charge of how long you talk.
He's in control. He's in control of the phone.
How the radio works.
We get the last one.
We also still need to come up with our,
shot clock.
Yeah.
We need to work on that.
Shot clock.
Seems you're putting a lot of time into that.
Yeah, really.
Away from the office.
Ripping off our friend who has alienated the entire Titans fan base while drunkenly singing an ABBA song.
I missed that video. I wanted.
Oh, you haven't seen the video?
No, and he said at the last game that he thought he might get arrested. So I just encouraged him to get arrested.
Yeah, this time around.
Keeps disappointing us with his not getting arrested.
Then someone threw up a picture of him in Notre Dame gear for like a Notre Dame.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
That's great.
That's a tough one. Let's head back to our phone line. Welcome in Wayne to the program. Wayne, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, fellas. How's it going? I just have a quick question about Salah and Vrabel.
It better be quicker. Robbie will yell at you. Go ahead.
Okay, I will be. So Vrabel gets a lot of credit for managing star like diva players with A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs. Does Salah have that skill as well as a coach? I don't know if you guys have heard anything. And does that mean that Borgonzi would be more willing to shift his culture preference if talent's there? And that's my question.
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate the call.
I don't think Salah would. I don't think Borgonzi's anti-star. I just think he doesn't have any.
Who would know?
Yeah, and nor did Salah. He had Sauce Gardner.
Well, I mean,
Aaron Rodgers.
the diva that he dealt with was Aaron Rodgers, right?
A special brand of diva. And
Yes.
they gave him his own offensive coordinator. It backfired terrifically.
Yeah, it's hard to right. Like that's just such a
how much of a diva is Garrett Wilson? I have no idea.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. It's just the Aaron Rodgers thing is a complete. I mean, and that's one of those things that's hard to even compare to anything else, right? You're just not going to encounter that. And
but like we talked about this yesterday, though. Like, I don't know that him and Aaron Rodgers like hated each other or anything, or didn't get along. But like Rodgers has gotten along with Mike McCarthy. He's gotten along with Matt LaFleur. He loves Mike Tomlin. If Salah's the outlier there, what does that mean? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a very special case.
Yeah, I'm still not mad at him if that's the case. But
Borgonzi's not anti-star.
No,
he doesn't want divas. Most people don't. Now, when you get to a certain point with your roster where you feel like your locker room can handle a certain kind of guy, then you might bring that. The Titans are way away from being able to handle that guy.
Well,
what they need now is an influx of talent.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, if you have a chance to get great talent, you get great talent. Right?
Yeah. Well, and you need the influx of talent. But I mean, clearly, and Borgonzi's talked about this the whole time, like the leadership part of this and establishing the culture in the locker room is clearly a huge part of this. And is Salah that type of guy where he can do that? Because I mean, look, you can look at what he did in New York, and clearly he's a guy that's a rah-rah guy. There's plenty of video of him out there being just fired up on the sideline. I think there are plenty of players that have played for him both in San Francisco and New York that absolutely love the guy. It also, like, there are plenty of things about culture in New York that were a disaster. Now, how much of that is him? How much of that is their owner and just everything that goes on there? I don't know, but that's clearly what they're banking on here. Is he is the guy to come in and change some of that.
They're banking on he went to a rotten culture, which was rotten before him, rotten after him, and he couldn't change it.
Yeah.
But we don't have that here, right? That's right. The mindset. But yeah, like it's still fair to be like, okay, but where did he contribute or what did he do wrong? And the media stuff definitely was a little bit of a red flag, I would say.
Yeah, it's he's good with the media. He's friendly and all of that. It's when things start to go badly and you get criticized and stories come out that you don't like. How much do you change your stripes? Say what you will about Vrabel, who is perceived by the public as not good with the media and could be a complete ass, but he's pretty consistent in his media.
There were times when Vrabel one time, went off on like Eric Bacharach because he gave him like a bad grade, like off a game. I mean, like he could be a sensitive little baby about stuff. But by the way, Mike Mularkey could be an incredible baby about media stuff, and he was still a good coach.
Yeah,
that
but
there's
sways, Vrabel in particular, his sways not as dramatic as somebody like Salah seemed to be in New York, or that I perceive like LaFleur maybe being. And LaFleur, that's a tough case. Like, I'm winning. You love me. I've lost some playoff games. Now you hate me. and I'm one of the winningest coaches of all time. Like it can be a difficult dynamic.
Yeah.
Way to get Robby pissed off even more. Bringing up
Well,
Matt
you
LaFleur.
read the Albert Breer piece. Apparently, all they did was talk to Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur decided who the Titans coach is going to be, I guess.
The best man in my wedding is an awesome dude. Hire him.
Makes you feel good.
Was he the best man in his wedding?
I think
so. Yeah.
I was trying to find my 2018 Tennessean feature on Matt LaFleur, in which I talked a lot to Robert Salah for that. And I think that they were each other's best men.
You can't find that?
I wasn't trying that. I'll try again. You say something and I'll find it.
I need it.
Okay, I'll find it for you.
Yeah. No, you don't have to find it on air in 20 minutes.
LaFleur was the best man at Salah's wedding.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
I mean, I would hope in like LaFleur's wedding, maybe
Tennessean's
his brother
good.
got in there. It was the best wedding, best man, but who knows?
Changing the lead in this story I got going.
Matt LaFleur decides Titans head coach, makes the hire.
Yeah, he's awesome. Thanks, Matt. Yeah. We don't need to talk to anybody else. No, but well, look, Mike Silver. I think we talked about that piece during the year, but the piece he wrote about Salah during this year.
Yeah,
I mean, there were some seriously strong endorsements on the player level for him in that, without question.
Well, that's
guys like playing for him.
Clearly,
I think for the most part.
I clearly he's got an ability to connect with people, and I there's a lot that went wrong with Brian Callahan. Again, we probably talked way too much about Brian Callahan.
Thanks for bringing that up.
But
I slap a take.
It's clear that he was not as skilled in that area as you need an NFL head coach to be. Clearly, and
no,
some of that was roster, and some of it is just as simple with Callahan as their roster sucked. I get that. But I think you're hearing it from Jeffrey Simmons a little bit now, and
did you
it was
hear
clear
that?
at the time.
I've read what people are saying about it. I haven't listened to it yet. I need to listen to it.
Well, it's clear. I mean, I think it's clear that they were lacking in that department. So how much of it, knowing that if you get this right with Salah from that standpoint, you still have to have your GM go out and build the roster. Like if they don't build the roster, none of it's going to matter at that point.
And the coaches' contributions, those discussions need to be good and smart too, right? That was my Callahan take. And this is, again, an argument I got in with Big Joe, who said Nagy was locked for sure. That people hated the Callahan. The people love the Callahan hire. We love the Callahan hire.
Yeah.
I don't know if we loved it, but we were like, it all added up. It
Yeah.
made sense. And that is part of it. We're just sitting here talking about Salah and these players. Well, Callahan had the best rating, right, on the player survey of assistant coaches. Didn't he have the best score? People love the guy. So, it didn't work out. But
Super likable guy.
This was not, and I guarantee you he interviewed well. And all the things that you would, and then you just don't know. Now, there is a difference here that this guy's been a head coach, but then again, it didn't go well.
Well, and again, I've said this from the jump. Some of these guys are going to get hired, and it's going to become very clear that they should not be head coaches, and they are very good coordinators and not head coaches. And some of these guys are going to be not successful in their first stop, and they're going to learn from it, and they're going to be good in their second stop. And you better hope, like Matt, if you're the Titans, you found one that is in the latter category.
And if you're Salah, by the way, you know that basically you got one more shot to prove you're a head coach, or you're just going to be a DC the rest of your career, which isn't terrible. It's good money, but that's what you're going to be.
And this thing's just like quarterbacks, sadly. Like there just aren't enough good ones.
Yeah.
Or it's not like quarterbacks in that teams don't do a good enough job finding the guys who have potential to be good ones. But I did a video yesterday. I said 16 days removed from the end of 3 and 14, we're in the cycle. And, not everybody, but most Titans fans feel hope again.
Yep. One more segment with PK coming up next. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky with us here on the program, taking your thoughts for PK as well. 615-737-1025. Pegram's Finest on the text line says, legit question for PK. Having all the cap space sounds intriguing, but how confident are we that Amy will allow Borgonzi to spend it? Forgive my ignorance, but does it directly impact her personal pocketbook? Just seems like everyone is excited about all the cap space, but we have the cap space for a reason. Well, I would argue the reason you have the cap space is there's nobody worth paying it to right now on the roster other than Jeffrey Simmons. Like, how many good players you got?
Yeah, correct. Of course they're going to spend it. I mean, they lured a GM here knowing the financial situation ahead, and now a coach. They're trying to rebuild to respectability and to give the roster the injection of talent it needs while they want to be draft based. They've said, for the next couple of years, they're going to have to supplement that with free agents, and they have the money to do it. And they will.
Okay. You're saying for sure. What if they don't?
You think they're going to
be
sit
wrong
on $100 million?
Well, I mean, but there's a difference between spending some and like really spending. And then also you can go really spend and not work out well, which we saw with Ray Carthon.
I mean, I think that they will pluck, one, probably two top people, and then fill in with a lot of, 1 year-ish people who are on auditions to hopefully become longer term contributors to the team.
Speaking of Amy's pocketbook, how much is she paying Salah?
Don't know. No, it's 5 years. Don't know.
Give me a guess.
More than 3.
I would think
less than 20.
I would think.
Here we go.
I would think probably 10.
About 10.
Yeah.
So that's a savings. You're about to fly to Baltimore and give Harbaugh the world. So now you cut it in half for Salah.
I don't know if you're paying attention to this show or not. They were not the first phone call to Harbaugh, and
that's true.
That indicates a lack of commitment.
Yeah.
What do you
That's
make
a reference to an earlier phone call that was a real highlight of our time together.
It happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, don't take it and run with it. What do you make of Mike Vrabel now being one victory away from a team quarterbacked by Jarrett Stidham from the Super Bowl in his first year in New England?
People are sick of hearing it, but Titans should not be in this situation, and everything should be running smoothly on a rebuild with Mike Vrabel as the head coach here, and many of the traits that they like in Robert Salah, who is not a Mike Vrabel clone by any means, but this brand of leadership that he brings is Mike Vrabel-esque. Oh, isn't it interesting that they want a Mike Vrabel-esque guy?
Here is a tweet from Diana Rossini that has just come out.
Okay.
It says the Eagles are conducting their offensive coordinator search with the understanding that Brian Daboll wants the Bills head coaching job. If he doesn't land it, Daboll is expected to wind up in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator for Cam Ward and the Titans, per sources.
Whoa. Because I thought you were just about to say he's expected to be the Eagles OC, because that's what I thought that they would actually out.
It sounds like he's like, well, I'd really like to be the Bills head coach, and if not, I'm going to the Titans.
Are you telling me that we actually have something of news value that came out before the
during
show
your show?
ends?
Sounds amazing.
Are you serious? How much time do you have to talk about it? Oh, good, 9 seconds.
So now you know what's going to happen, right? Brian
getting
Daboll's going to be the head coach
Yeah,
of the
I
Bills.
know.
Wouldn't that be a weird
Congratulations, Brian.
I mean, they're trying to do something different and find a guy who gets them over the hump, and they're going to go hire. I mean, this is a totally different situation.
A guy
than the
who
Titans and everything. A guy that
yeah.
failed in with the Giants, has a kind of temper problem. It seems,
and
like.
he helped develop Josh Allen, but we're well past that now.
Yeah, he's developed.
He's developed, and actually, he just sucked in a playoff game. What would Titans fans think? I know you like Brian Daboll. You do not speak for Titans fans or really any group of humans. Titans fans, what do you think about Brian Daboll as your OC? Hurry up and give us a reaction. We have 4 seconds.
I like it. Just keep him out of the injury tent. That's all I ask.
I don't hate it. I do wonder what the personality, now that we've seen it on display as a head coach, a little volatile.
That's all right.
Yes.
You need a little crazy.
Just a little fire.
Just, again, keep him out of the injury
The
tent.
last
It'll be
OC
fine.
was like, well, they just made me go have an office in the janitor closet, and that's okay.
I'm not calling plays, but which is fine.
That's fine. Everything's fine. I guess a little fire. At
But
the
again,
OC spot.
Diana Rossini, the Eagles conducting their offensive coordinator search. Brian Daboll wants the Bills head coaching job, and if he doesn't land it, according to Rossini, he is expected to wind up in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator. So,
dang, Diana, Rossini bomb. Let's go.
There you go. Daboll,
PK. Oh, the
Salah.
PK. He can't talk anymore because now he's like, oh my god, and he's
I'd comment on it.
tapping away. Oh, you commented on it on social media?
Yes.
Tell us what you said.
Multitasking.
That's the same thing I've said here. I think it would be a bad hire for the Bills and a terrific development for the Titans.
Oh.
See how it goes.
I thought you were like taking shots at another media person like you like to do. Like respected.
Why would I take a shot at Diana for
respected, esteemed media person, Tic Tac Titans. You like to riff that guy. I don't know why.
PK, thank you for being
Why
with
do you
us.
say his name? You're so dumb. You don't realize the damage that you do.
Damage. We're ruining society by mentioning Tic Tac Titans.
You are. Again, you did it again. He does it again. He's an idiot. Don't block the box. Be sure to lock your locks. And buy groceries Thursday, Friday even.
Next man up, Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.